Welcome to Overeaters Anonymous, podcast number 6. This podcast will focus on individual stories of recovery. Throughout this podcast, we'll be referring to Overeaters Anonymous by its acronym, OA. This Overeaters Anonymous meeting was attended by OA members gathered for a quarterly Board of Trustees meeting. In order to provide OA service at this level, members must have extended abstinence and must be maintaining a healthy weight. Most OA meetings will have participants in various stages of recovery, from newcomer to long-term.
Welcome to the Friday morning meeting of Overeaters Anonymous. My name is Dodie. I'm a compulsive overeater and your leader for this meeting. Hi. I'd like to qualify by saying that I have been abstinent for 25 years, maintaining an 85-pound weight loss. Will those who wish to please join me in the serenity prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. As we extend the heart and hand of fellowship to those who still suffer, let us be mindful of OA's unity with diversity policy, which respects our differences, yet unites us in the solution to our common problem. Whatever problem you have with food, you are welcome at this meeting. Are there any compulsive overeaters here besides myself? Yes. Is there anyone here for a first, second, or third time? Okay. If you're returning to OA or are visiting from another area, please tell us your first name so we can welcome you. We encourage you to get a sponsor to help guide your recovery, develop a plan of eating, and if you wish, write it down and report daily to your sponsor. Read OA-approved literature to develop a working knowledge of the 12 steps and 12 traditions. And I'm going to ask Joe to read the OA preamble.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Joe, a compulsive overeater.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Joe.
Overeaters Anonymous is a fellowship of individuals who, through shared experience, strength, and hope, are recovering from compulsive eating. We welcome everyone who wants to stop eating compulsively. There are no dues or fees for members. We are self-supporting through our own contributions, neither soliciting nor accepting outside donations. OA is not affiliated with any public or private organization, political movement, ideology, or religious doctrine. We take no position on outside issues. Our primary purpose is to abstain from compulsive overeating and to carry this message of recovery to those who still suffer.
Thank you, Joe. And I have asked Jerry to read the 12 steps.
Hi, I'm Jerry. I'm an abstinent compulsive overeater.
Hi, Jerry.
Hi. We of Overeaters Anonymous have made a discovery. At the very first meeting we attended, we learned that we were in the clutches of a dangerous illness, and that willpower, emotional health, and self-confidence, which some of us had once possessed, were no defense against it. We have found that the reasons for the illness are unimportant. What deserves the attention of the still suffering compulsive overeater is this: there is a proven, workable method by which we can arrest our illness. The OA recovery program is patterned after that of Alcoholics Anonymous. We use AA's 12 steps and 12 traditions, changing only the words alcohol and alcoholic to food and compulsive overeater. As our personal stories attest, the 12-step program of recovery works well for compulsive overeaters as it does for alcoholics. Can we guarantee you this recovery? The answer is simple. If you will honestly face the truth about yourself and the illness, if you will keep coming back to meetings to talk and listen to other recovering compulsive overeaters, if you will read our literature and that of Alcoholics Anonymous with an open mind, most important, if you are willing to rely on a power greater than yourself for direction in your life, and to take the 12 steps to the best of your ability, we believe you can indeed join the ranks of those who recover. To remedy the emotional, physical, and spiritual illness of compulsive overeating, we offer several suggestions, but keep in mind that the basis of the program is spiritual, as evidenced by the 12 steps. We're not a diet and calories club. We do not endorse any particular plan of eating. We practice abstinence by staying away from eating between planned meals and from all individual binge foods. Once we become abstinent, the preoccupation with food diminishes and in many cases leaves us entirely. We then find that to deal with our inner turmoil, we have to have a new way of thinking, of acting on life rather than reacting to it. In essence, a new way of living. From this vantage point, we begin the 12-step program of recovery, moving beyond the food and the emotional havoc to a fuller living experience. As a result of practicing the steps, the symptoms of compulsive overeating is removed on a daily basis, achieved through the process of surrendering to something greater than ourselves. The more total our surrender, the more fully realized our freedom from food obsession. Here are the steps as adapted for Overeaters Anonymous. 1, we admitted we were powerless over food, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to compulsive overeaters and to practice these principles in all our affairs. But I'm too weak, I'll never make it. Don't worry. We have all thought and said the same thing. The amazing secret to the success of this program is just that, weakness. It is weakness, not strength, that binds us to each other and to a higher power, and somehow gives us the ability to do what we cannot do alone. If you decide you are one of us, we welcome you with open arms. Whatever your circumstances, we offer you the gift of abstinence. You are not alone anymore. Welcome to Overeaters Anonymous. Welcome home.
Hi, my name is Janice, and I'm a compulsive overeater.
Hi, Janice.
The 12 traditions. 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon OA unity. 2, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as He may express Himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. 3, the only requirement for OA membership is a desire to stop eating compulsively. 4, each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or OA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the compulsive overeater who still suffers. 6, an OA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the OA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every OA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Overeaters Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, OA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Overeaters Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues. Hence, the OA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, films, television, and other public media of communication. 12, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all these traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities.
In OA, abstinence is the action of refraining from compulsive overeating. The OA tools of recovery help us to work the steps and refrain from compulsive overeating. The 8 tools are a plan of eating, sponsorship, meetings, telephone, writing, literature, anonymity, and service. For more information, read the pamphlet, Tools of Recovery. Sponsors. Sponsorship is one of our keys to success. Sponsors are OA members committed to abstinence and to living the steps and tradition to the best of their ability. Sponsors share their program up to the level of their experience and strengthen their recovery through this service to others. To find a sponsor, look for someone who has what you want and ask how he or she is achieving it. Will all sponsors please identify themselves? I'm going to pass the meeting record book around and ask you to sign your name with your phone number and email address if you would like. We'll pass it around a second time so that you, other members may write down phone numbers and email addresses to call and write in times between meetings. Literature. Only OA-approved literature is displayed at this meeting. Many OA members find that reading our literature on a daily basis further reinforces how to live the 12 steps. Are there any reports? Are there any OA birthdays? This will be a literature meeting, and today's reading will be from Voices of Recovery. Charles, would you?
I'm Charles, recovered not cured compulsive eater.
Hi, Charles.
The basic concept of Overeaters Anonymous is that compulsive overeating is a disease that affects the person on 3 levels: physical, spiritual, and emotional. Overeaters Anonymous, 2nd edition, page 234. Recognition that compulsive overeating is a disease eased my guilty feelings that my inability to control my weight was a moral failure. My understanding of the 3 affected areas and the importance of balance in recovery was aided by a shared example of a 3-legged stool. Having watched my uncle milk cows using such a stool, I could see how precarious the sitting would be if one leg was missing, or shorter or longer than the others. This helped me see the importance of balance in these areas of my life as well. When my food is troubling me, I know that emotional and spiritual problems are also involved. Getting my feelings in the open by writing or sharing with trusted others, as well as prayer and meditation, have helped the considerable amount of recovery I have been given, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Thank you, OA.
Thank you, Charles. As you share your experience and strength in OA, please also share your hope. Please confine your sharing to your experience with the disease of compulsive eating, the solution offered by OA, and your recovery from the disease, rather than just the events of the day or week. If you're having difficulties, share how you use the program to deal with them. If you need to talk more about your difficulties and seek solutions, we suggest you speak to your sponsor and other members after the meeting. Feedback, crosstalk, and advice giving are discouraged here. Crosstalk during an OA meeting is giving advice to others who have already shared, speaking directly to another person rather than to the group, and questioning or interrupting the person speaking or sharing at the time. We ask everyone to respect our group conscience. This meeting has decided that the chair for each meeting should have the discretion to suggest to anyone sharing that he or she is off topic or is speaking too long, and this meeting asks you to accept this suggestion in order to keep the meeting on track. And we will now open the meeting for sharing, and the topic for today will be a 3-fold disease: spiritual, emotional, physical.
I'm Charles, recovered not cured compulsive eater.
Hi, Charles.
Abstinent for over 21 years, maintaining a 100-pound weight release. Coming to OA, it was a great relief for me to realize that I had a disease. Cycling of weight up and down for years and years left me in a state of mind that can only be called hopeless. And I think the thing that kept me coming back was the realization that from my experience before coming to OA, of cycling up and down, each time I cycled up, my weight continued to go higher and higher until I reached 100 pounds more than I am today. I'm so relieved to be free of the bondage of food and to be able to go on with life. Thank you.
My name is Craig, and I'm a compulsive eater.
Hi, Craig.
I've been abstinent for 12 and a half years and been maintaining a 70-pound weight loss for about 11 of those years. When I came in, I was at a really the lowest point in my life. I had used for at least 17 years of my life the exercise to control my weight. I gained and lost between 40 and 50 pounds twice a year. And so I never knew what weight I was going to be at. And when I was at a low weight with some magic number, I was really emotionally well. I feeling good about myself, had a lot of self-confidence, When I was at my highest weight, I was really low, really angry, really frustrated. So my life has been about emotional roller coaster, ups and downs, and it all depended on some magic number. I now weigh myself once a month. I think that has been a real sanity boost for me instead of weighing myself multiple times a day. I can actually say that I have one size of clothes. I've actually wear them out now, which is something I never did before because I went basically 3 different sizes of clothes twice a year. I'd be going up and down in them. So those are the blessings of the program. I think there's a lot of miracles just knowing that when I wake up today, I have a plan for prayer and meditation that keeps me sane and abstinent. I surrender my will and life, and I think that's really powerful. And I have so much sanity now around the physical, emotional, and spiritual aspects of my life. I never knew I had a higher power before OA, and that's something that's very, very important to me, and I appreciate being here today and listening to everybody share. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jerry. I'm an abstinent compulsive overeater. I've been in Overeaters Anonymous for 15 years and maintaining a 100+ pound weight loss. I was amazed when I came here and heard this concept of a 3-legged stool, physical, emotional, and spiritual recovery, because all I wanted to do was lose 100 pounds like all the other diet clubs I'd been going to. But as I stayed on and was able to lose that weight, the fog in my head lifted, and I found I had a lot more time on my hands to think about other things besides food. And life, since getting abstinent, has been so wonderful for me. It's just like a miracle. I'm just really glad to be here. I would go to these other places, lose a little weight, and then gain it back, lose it and gain it. So over a 20-year period, I went up and down enough times to probably lost over 700 pounds. But here, I've been able to maintain a 100-pound weight loss, which is the big miracle of Overeaters Anonymous, and that's because of the emotional and spiritual work. I mean, if I go someplace where I would just lose weight, there would be no solution on what was making me eat like that. And now I have tools. Besides the 12 steps of Overeaters Anonymous, I have tools. I can call somebody. There's so many other things I can do today. I can reach for the phone instead of reaching for the refrigerator. Thank you.
I'm Vicki. I'm a very grateful recovering compulsive overeater. I've been in Recovery and Overeaters Anonymous for 12 years and maintaining a little over 100-pound weight loss for a little over 11. When I came into Overeaters Anonymous, I thought that I had a physical problem. Well, I knew that I was depressed, unhappy, but I thought that was because I was overweight. I have come to see in working these steps that my weight was, my eating was the result of a spiritual problem, and that my unhappiness and depression were the result of a spiritual problem. And there's a line in the big book that says when we straighten out spiritually, we recover mentally and we recover physically, and I found that true for me. My beautiful daughter died about 6 months ago, and everything I always thought I would do, as a mother, you kind of go there sometimes. What would I do if a child died? But everything I thought I would do, I didn't do. I went into sort of really interesting, a sort of a program autopilot. I remember one of the first things that came into my head upon hearing that Jennifer died was, how can I best serve thee? Now, thy will, not mine, be done. And then I said, surely, God, this doesn't apply here. And then said, yes, it really does. I had to look at how can I best be of service here. And I found that the more I focused on giving service and the more I focused on giving love, it's sort of like God shows me his love by my capacity to love others. And in those times when I really, really need to feel the love of God in my life, I really, really need to extend love to others, because I can't give it unless God's given it to me first. I found that all of the things that I kind of balked at with my sponsor, writing daily reviews, and all the things that just, sticking to my food plan, became just what I did. I didn't even think about eating compulsively. I just stuck to my food plan because that's what I'd always done. I'm just really, really amazed at how this program and these steps and God just kind of carried me through what I thought would have been devastating, and 12 years ago would have been devastating. And I'm just beyond grateful for this program and these steps and my recovery today. Thank you.
I'm Wanda, recovering compulsive overeater. I've been in OA for 24 years, and I've lost 40 pounds. And the program for me has been one of sanity as well as weight loss. The first time that I remember overeating or sneak eating was when I was 8 years old. And I became a binger, a sneak eater, and did a lot of yo-yo dieting in my life, ups and downs, which took me into emotional ups and downs as well. When I came to OA, I really just wanted to lose the weight and leave. But what I found in OA was that it was more than a weight problem. It was an emotional and spiritual problem as well. And through the 12 steps of Overeaters Anonymous, I began to work on the emotional issues with my sponsor, began to find out some reasons why I wanted to overeat when I was 8 years old. And after that, I really realized that my spiritual life needed expanding a lot, as I had a very closed idea of God, a very judgmental idea, and I needed an accepting God. And through the Overeaters Anonymous program, I have received a wonderfully accepting God who loves me no matter what. And for today, I know that I'm okay and that my life is good, and that my future is good, because today is wonderful. And through the OA program, I have been given one day at a time of a most beautiful gift of abstinence. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Cheryl, and I've been in Overeaters Anonymous for almost 30 years. I've been abstaining for the last 24 years of those 30 years, and I'm maintaining an 80-pound weight loss. I've heard it said in recovery that our disease has a physical symptom and an emotional cause and a spiritual cure. And for me, that's been true. I came in here just a physical wreck. I was not a healthy, obese person. My body just did not deal well with obesity. And so by the time I came in here, I was bedridden. My mother was raising my children, and I was eating with the door closed and watching TV and sleeping. And so the first thing that had to happen for me is that I needed to lose the weight. I was dying. I don't believe that I would be here today. Yesterday was my 57th birthday, and I don't believe I would have made it to my 57th birthday without this program. Emotionally, I was a wreck. I was fighting with everybody. My poor mother, who was keeping my children, I was fussing with her and my husband and just everybody. I was at war with the world, and today I'm not at war with anybody. My world just goes on, and I love people in my life. I got so many calls yesterday with people telling me they love me and I love them, and that's what my life is about now. It's about loving other people and feeling love and experiencing love. And spiritually, there is no way to describe what goes on in my life. I get up every morning. I cannot wait for my prayer and meditation time. I have been working my 11th step just rigorously. That was the first thing my sponsor taught me about. I think in the beginning I thought the 11th step was the program. And I probably haven't missed 10 days in 30 years getting up and doing my morning prayer and meditation the Big Book way, the way the Big Book says. And for today, I do have knowledge of God's will for me. He does give me the power to carry that out. And the things I've been able to accomplish are beyond my wildest dream. I can't remember when I have spent a day in bed. I love my life. I love the world. I wake up with a spirit of anticipation about what God has in store for me today. My husband called. I'm a long way from home, and at home there's a big storm, tropical storm going on, and my husband tells me that there's a leak in our condo roof and water is seeping in continually through my beautiful hardwood floors. And you know what? There's nothing I can do about that today. I prayed for my husband, who's there with it. They're just floors. I have that perspective today because of the program. And I did have to pray about it. I did have to say something to somebody and talk about it. But today I know how to handle the big things and the little things in my life, and I know what the difference is. This is not a crisis with the floors. It's just a thing that happens. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Pam, and I'm compulsive overeater. Hi. God, it's wonderful to be here. I'm so grateful. I have 14 years and 4 months of abstinence, And I can't say exactly how much weight I lost since I came in, because in my adult life prior to program, I vacillated between size 2 and size 18, gaining and losing 685 pounds. And I never stayed at one size for more than a week or so, because basically I was either starving or binging. That's what I did with my life. I came into the program because I didn't want to do that anymore. And I was really quite distraught with all the problems all the people in my life had. I mean, my son, my husband, my boss, all of these people have so many problems, and it was so distressing to me. And despite the fact that I was able to give them a lot of very good advice, there was still an awfully lot of problems. And I got this wonderful sponsor. And every time I said to her, I'm having a problem with so-and-so, she said, didn't matter what it was. It could be my husband. She'd say, call a newcomer. And that's where I learned about service. And I have people now after 14 years saying to me, well, how is your son? And I'm saying, I wonder why they're asking that question. He's wonderful. But duh, I have 14 years and 4 months of abstinence. And what happened is all the people in my life, all of their problems have gone away. I don't have to be distressed about them anymore because, the focus is on me. That's what the emotional part of the program is. You can't fix anybody else. You look inside and do whatever gives you peace of mind. Now, looking at the third leg, the third part of the disease, the spiritual part, well, I'd like to say that I get up every day, I fall on my knees, I do 2 hours of prayer, 1 hour of meditation, and then I walk on water and talk with God. I try. I do the best I can one day at a time. But what I do every day is I devote 2 hours to sponsoring people. And that time that I get out of myself and I listen to the pain and the suffering in their heart, and I'm able to open myself to a power greater than myself who gives the answer, because I have no clue of what the answer is. And as that answer comes through me, and as I share with them my experience, strength, and hope, and as those words come from a power greater than myself, I am truly healed on a spiritual level. So I am so grateful for this program, for letting me stay the same size, for fixing all of those people around me that didn't work, and for giving me peace of mind. And I thank you for letting me share.
I'm Teresa. I'm a compulsive eater. Hi, Teresa. And I'd like to state my commitment to abstinence. I've been abstinent since July 19th of 1990, and I'm currently maintaining a 65.5-pound weight loss. Physically, when I was practicing this disease, at my worst, I gained 9 3/4 pounds in a single week because I was binging so much. And I was absolutely, totally obsessed with food all day long. That's all I thought about from the time I got up in the morning and started digging something out of the trash until the time I fell into bed at night. And emotionally, I was a very angry, resentful, and fearful person. At one point, I'd gotten so isolated that I had no friends because I just basically stayed home and ate. And spiritually, I was empty, I was dead. I went through the motions of the church that I was raised in, and I used to pray and cry and eat all at the same time, and that didn't work for me very well. My real God at that point was the food. That's what I relied on, and that's what I turned to. What happened is I found this program, and I found the 12-step program of recovery, and my life has changed. Physically, the other day in the airport, I was at the airport food court getting my lunch, and I needed a piece of fruit, and I looked over on this counter, and there was a basket of bananas. So I went over, and I got a banana, and I took it to the clerk to ring me up, and he said, "Is that all?" And I said, "Yes, just the banana." And he's ringing it up, and he says again, "You don't want anything else?" And he gestured behind himself, and that's when I noticed that we were standing at the frozen yogurt stand. And that absolutely the only thing there that I could eat was the banana, and it was meant to be piled, have all kinds of things piled on top of it. I didn't notice that, and that's a miracle, because I was totally addicted to foods like that my entire life. If you'd told me I'd ever not even notice what stand I was standing at and all I would see was the banana, I wouldn't have believed it. Emotionally, I find that strangers smile at me as I'm walking down the street, because I'm walking down the street smiling, because I'm happy. And spiritually, my husband is supposed to have triple bypass surgery the week after next. And I'm calm and I'm peaceful because I have a higher power that I rely on. And I know that no matter what happens, he will be fine and I will be fine. And that's true whether the surgery goes well or whether the surgery doesn't go well. And I'm so grateful that I have a way of dealing with my life now that doesn't involve eating compulsively. Thanks.
I'm a compulsive overeater. My name is Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie. I first came to OA about 25 years ago, and I came for the weight loss. And within about 6 months, I think, or within 6 months or a year, I achieved the physical goal that I was after. And I left thinking, well, now I know how to do this, and I can maintain it in my other 12-step program. And that worked so well that I came back here 7 years ago, heavier than I'd ever been. One of my favorite speakers I have heard often say that we're born with a God-shaped hole in our soul. And I've been on that roller coaster of ups and downs of weight loss and emotional insanity like most of us has. And the miracle that I found here is the ability to maintain the weight loss. And it's been about 7 years now that I've maintained the 34-pound weight loss. And in the program, I was reminded also recently that we're told to build our house upon the rocks, and that's where the solid recovery is. And I've had that for quite some time. And within the last 2 or 3 years, that foundation that I had slowly shifted, where it was built on my ability to serve another person. And a year ago now, that person was taken from my life. And I didn't realize really what I had done and the shift in my focus of daily living, really, until January, when I heard another speaker talk about the house built on the stone. And it occurred to me that one letter, one fax, one custody hearing at a time, my foundation shifted to this person, who's a little person. And when the rains come down and the floods come up, and my house went last August. And I had started pushing God out somewhat and just being so focused on that precious little life. And I'm grateful today to have the reminder, that I've got to stay solidly on the rocks. And as much as I love other people, I can't fix them, I can't do for them, I can't be their hero. And I feel like sitting here today, it has to be God's will, because if things were going the way I want today in my world, I'd be at home playing with that little girl. And instead, when that door closed, there were a whole lot of windows opened that I didn't always appreciate at the time that the phone rang or that somebody knocked on the door. But there have been a lot of windows open, and the message for me is loud and clear that God has more plans for me than what I had for me. And so I think I'll go with his way for today. Thanks.
My name's Di, and I'm a compulsive overeater.
Hi, Di.
I believe I was born with this disease. I am not somebody that came into Overeaters Anonymous needing to lose weight, but I can tell you about my life according to how I've eaten. I've done my share of starving, binging, grazing, overeating, undereating, and it's a complete miracle to me today as a result of this program that I don't do any of that anymore, and that the food doesn't call me, that I'm not obsessed with food, that I fuel my body with the meals that I eat, and I have no desire to eat like normal people. I know that I'm not a normal eater, and I never will be, and it's a complete miracle that I have a life between my meals. As well as not being a normal eater, my life was never normal. I finally earned a diagnosis of depressive disorder. I wasn't able to work for 7 or 8 years. I was a high-functioning consumer of mental health services, and it is a complete miracle to me that today I go to work every day, that I'm not suffering from self-obsession. My life is not ruled by my thinking or my feelings. That freedom from self-obsession has been given to me through working the 12 steps of Overeaters Anonymous.
I'm a compulsive overeater. My name is Kayla. Hi, Kayla. Hi. I'm not obsessive or compulsive about anything. However, one day at a time in this program, I have 6,744 days of recovery. And I'm maintaining approximately a 65-pound weight loss. And, I like to say that the weight is not really lost because I know exactly where to find it. I've just stopped looking for it. Well, it's true. I don't have to look for it anymore. And it's interesting, when the reading took place before, and they talked about the three-legged stool, I always pictured a three-legged stool missing a leg. It never occurred to me that one could be shorter and just, tilt. It's amazing. I mean, I've been in program for over 18 years, and you'd think I would have thought of that before. Anyhow, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Physically, I just told you I had dieted myself fat. And, well, I don't know. I mean, that's exactly what I did. First time I ever had to lose weight, I think I lost 15 pounds and then gained 25 and then lost 20 and then gained 30 and so on and so forth. Emotionally, when I came into the rooms, I really only exhibited one emotion, and that was anger. And you can certainly ask my family about that. They will definitely vouch for that. And today, I can choose to be angry if I so desire. I mean, I don't make that choice very often. In fact, I really don't remember the last time I did. But I can choose to be, to coin a phrase, happy, joyous, and free. And I mean, I am happy, joyous, and free, which is a wonderful place to be. And when I came into the room, I just heard somebody say almost the same thing, but I used to say I was spiritually bankrupt. And then I realized you had to become bankrupt, you had to have had something and lost it. And I never had any kind of a spiritual understanding, a spiritual life or anything. And this program has turned that around. I mean, my sponsor told me that I had to pray to some kind of a higher power. And she told me I had to do that. And I told her she was asking me to be a hypocrite. And she told me to do it anyhow. And now I know that I have a higher power who loves me unconditionally. And I am just so grateful that this program exists and that I found a home. So thank you all for being here.
Hi, my name is Donna. I'm a compulsive overeater. I've been in Overeaters Anonymous for 15 years. I'm maintaining a 55-pound weight loss. I want to thank you for the reading. It's one of my favorites, the proverbial three-legged stool. My sponsor speaks with me on a regular basis about the wobbly stool. I don't always know that I've got a wobbly leg, but she seems to know better than I about what's going on. And she does remind me that it just takes one wobble and I'll be sitting flat on my bottom. Sometimes I'm almost on my bottom until I discover, I really need to take some direction from my sponsor, and that's what I always try best to do. When I came into Overeaters Anonymous, I was suicidal. I thought God was letting me down. I didn't really have a God. I felt abandoned. All I really wanted to do was die. I felt I was a failure at everything, and there was nothing that I could do in this world. I was hopeless. I was worthless. I was even failing at suicide attempts. I couldn't even do that right. And then I went to an Overeaters Anonymous meeting on a Saturday morning at my local hospital. And we have a wonderful piece of literature from Life. It's called the Lifeline Sampler. And they read Welcome Home. There is a paragraph in Welcome Home that states, I looked up at the stars and I wondered what an insignificant person like me was doing here anyway. That was my ticket to Overeaters Anonymous. I found an entire room of people just like me. What a coincidence. I did not have a God of my understanding. I did not have a higher power. The people in the meeting became my higher power for a very long time, till I was willing to take it a bit further. And my stool is wobbly at times. My physical recovery was the easy part. My physical recovery is still the easy part. It's emotionally and spiritually that I wobble. And my sponsor tells me that the spiritual leg and the emotional leg will probably, in my case, excuse me, be the first to go. So those are the ones that I most protect. I do guard my abstinence, but the physical and emotional legs are the ones I protect the most. They have gotten me through extraordinary things in the last 15 years. I no longer blame God for things that happen in my life. I know that if it's put to me, He'll get me through it. My daughter was raped. My son was imprisoned, and I buried both of my parents, most recently my mother, in the last 3 months. And all those things became very useful in my life. It was another purpose to give a service. It was a reason to come here on many of those occasions because it occurred before I was due to give a service somewhere. And I always kept my service. My family said, why? I knew why. It keeps my three-legged stool balanced, and I'm just really grateful for the reading. Thank you.
My name is Esti. I am a compulsive overeater. I came to OA almost 14 years ago, and I lost about 30 pounds. I had all my life I had a lot of diets, made a lot of diets, and I lost weight and gained weight, of course. But when I decided to let go of the diets and to decide not to live as I am, to be as I am, I couldn't do it, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't let go of the diets. Only after I came to the program, I understood that what was the worst thing, or what bothered me most, was the struggling all the time with the food, with my emotions, and with everything. So I think that the most helpful thing that I realized in the program was that it was a disease and that I'm not to blame for it. And of course, if I have any disease, I have to seek for medication. And I knew that if I would have known that I have a disease and I have to go, let's say a chronic disease, and go to the hospital to take medication, I would have left everything and do it. It was the most priority, put the most priority on it. So that's what I realized in a way, and that's what I came here for. I knew that the medication here is the meetings, the tools, and the steps, and by working them and putting them in my life, I gained my sanity and my health. Thank you.
My name is Margaret Ann, and I'm a very grateful recovered compulsive overeater. And I came into Overeaters Anonymous in February of 1990, 215 pounds of chain-smoking suicidal fun. I became abstinent in November of 1990, which I never thought was possible for me. I had been to hundreds of different kinds of the books and the diet the guy on the radio did, and the diet clubs and the medically supervised thing. And I really thought that I thought that I treated my body like a temple, the temple of doom. But I thought I was doing what I had to do so that I could feel good enough to get through this miserable slog that was my life, and how I'd been singled out for such torture. And eventually, I couldn't believe it, but what I got in Overeaters Anonymous was a solution that I'd never been offered anywhere else. They'd showed me how to take weight off, but there was never any mention made of how I could live a life without wanting to treat my body that way, without wanting to eat all that food. And that's what I found here. Mentally, I learned that I didn't have to be thinking about myself and what was to become of me and how I was going to fix everything all the time. I didn't know that was possible. Spiritually, the thing that I had to do at first was simply think, well, you know what it's like to be in good spirits, and you know what it's like to be in poor spirits, because I really had a hard time with this whole God thing. And I don't know what that higher power is. I just know that by following the program of action that I was told to use here, I do have access to something that I have confidence in today, that I really believe if I keep doing what I've been doing, that I'll be okay, and I'll also be of use to other people. And for that reason, I've been relieved now of this 80 pounds. They haven't come back. Even as my body ages and things change, I've been able to adapt, and it's just not a struggle. I'm so grateful for everything that I've found here, and continue to want to help other people to get what I've been given. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Janice. I'm a compulsive overeater.
Hi, Janice.
I've been in program about 10 and a half, little over 10 and a half years, and abstinent over 10 and a half years, maintaining approximately a 75-pound weight loss. And when I came into the rooms, like many people, I didn't know anything about an emotional or spiritual problem, but I knew I was fat. And as a result of that, I was suicidal, and I really thought everybody else would be better off if I was dead. Now, the physical recovery, as someone else said, has been the easy part for me, and I never thought that was possible. I couldn't imagine a time when I wouldn't be thinking all the time about what I ate, what I wanted to eat, what I didn't want people to see, what I did want people to see, you know, hiding food, replacing food, and so forth. And the miracle in my life today is that not only do I not compulsively overeat, but I don't want to compulsively overeat. I have a normal body size. I have been in this normal body size for about 10 years, and with the exception of an abstinent pregnancy, which was a wonderful gift. And the physical part of my program is the easy part. I had gone so far before I ever heard about OA to ask a friend of mine who also struggled with her weight what people who weren't fat did with their lives. What did they think about? I had absolutely no idea. And a result of being abstinent, I've learned what other people do. You know, life goes on when I'm not eating. And this is where I learned about emotional and spiritual things. I was attending services in the faith in which I had grown up, but I never even thought to pray to be thin. And today I have a higher power, which my higher power is love. I believe as a result of love that I can give and that I can receive, things are happening in my life that probably always should have happened, but the way I felt about myself, I hated myself, it never allowed me to receive it. So I'm learning more and more about a spiritual program as opposed to a religious one. I'm learning more and more what I can do and what can be done for me. I can ask for help today. And the most difficult part of my program is the emotional recovery, because I lived 36 years of my life simply stuffing my emotions. And now I don't have that option because I'm not compulsively overeating. And without a doubt, that's been the most painful part of my recovery and the most difficult. And as recently as about 2 weeks ago, I was on the phone sobbing with someone saying, you know, these emotions, there's too many of them. But what I do know today is that there is only through. You know, there's no way around, there is only through. And eating for me today is not around. That's death, and that's not the direction I choose today. So I always know that I will be carried. If I ask for what I need, I will be carried through whatever is going on in my life. And I have to say that just because my food is clean, because I'm abstinent, it does not mean my life is perfect. The last number of years have been the most difficult in my life so far, but yet I continue one day at a time to maintain my abstinence. I rely on other people. My higher power speaks to me through others. I ask for help. I receive help. I give help when I can. And then I just go through whatever is in front of me, hopefully with dignity and grace. And if those aren't miracles, I don't know what is.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joe, compulsive overeater.
Hi, Joe.
I arrived at OA about 18 years ago. I've been maintaining a 50-pound weight loss for 16 years. And that stable weight for 16 years is an incredible miracle. I was in a constant state of yo, either going up and down, as many of us have shared. And what I didn't realize at that time was just how many hours a day you could spend thinking about the food. We refer to that as the food fog. And I didn't have a clue what that was costing me in the relationships and the people, my children, my wife, and works around me. But what I came here for, like everybody else, was I was fat. And I wanted to lose the weight. I wanted a diet plan. And I probably would have taken it, went home and tried to work it by myself. It wouldn't have worked. And I said, OA doesn't work. What I found instead was, even though it was, I probably went to 25 or 30 meetings before I ever saw another man. But what I heard in those rooms was hope. I didn't necessarily get the identification. It was hard for me to get past a room full of ladies that didn't look like they needed to lose weight, and I didn't know why they were here. I did hear them share about food in a way that it had never occurred to me there was anybody besides me who behaved around food like I behaved around food. And it was that hope that kept me coming back. And there was a weight lifted off of me just knowing that I wasn't the only one who ate like I ate. And with that weight gone, It kept me coming back. My higher power thought I was so thick-skulled that he blessed me with what we refer to as a honeymoon abstinence, which was I got my head out of the food through no effort whatsoever of my own. I didn't have a sponsor. I wasn't working the steps. But I said to somebody after a meeting, well, would it work if I just had 3 meals a day and nothing in between? Is that abstinent? So that's what I did, and the weight began to fall off. Well, I didn't have a sponsor. I wasn't working the steps. And it did work for a while, and it was kind of a honeymoon, and then the honeymoon was over and the food crept back in, and I thought I was hurt and scared when I got here the first time. But I didn't know what real hurt and real fear was until I felt this food sucking me back yet again, even though I knew all these wonderful people and I had all this intellectual information about our disease. Even though I knew I wasn't alone, the food was more powerful than all those things. I had no clue that I needed a spiritual life. I swore off religion when I got to be 18 and old enough they couldn't catch me anymore and drag me to church. I didn't need it. I was getting by just fine. I did have a little problem with weight, but other than that, I was doing fine. So the hope that I heard kept me coming back. Fear is a good thing because it made me ask my first sponsor. And he was a God thing because he led me through the steps in a fashion that brought me beyond anything I could have ever imagined in my life. I said I've lost 15 pounds and kept it off for 16 years, and that's incredible. And it's amazing, and it's a huge gift in my life, but it's not the biggest one that I got from having come to these rooms and being willing to risk doing some things that not only didn't make any sense to me, that I had never done before, but somebody said they worked for them, and I said, well, all right, I'm scared enough and hurt enough now that I'll have a go at it. Appreciate all you guys are here. I did want to say one thing. I've always had a problem with the second step in our program. The higher power I arrived here without, but we begin to believe that we have a power greater than ourselves that could restore us to sanity, and in my particular situation, I think it should read to introduce me to sanity, because I arrived here not ever having had a relationship with sanity.
Thank you all for sharing. And in closing, by following the 12 steps, attending meetings regularly, and using the OA tools, thousands have changed their lives. We offer hope and encouragement. To the newcomer, we suggest attending at least 6 different meetings before deciding if OA is for you. The opinions expressed here today are those of individual OA members and do not represent OA as a whole. Please remember our commitment to honor each other's anonymity. What you hear here, whom you see here, when you leave here, let it stay here. Let us all reach out by phone or email to newcomers, returning members, and each other. Together, we get better. Thank you for letting me be your leader. I put my hand in yours, and together we can do what we could never do alone. No longer is there a sense of hopelessness. No longer must we each depend upon our own unsteady willpower. We are all together now, reaching out our hands for power and strength greater than ours. And as we join hands, we find love and understanding beyond our wildest dreams. Keep coming back. It works.
Thank you for joining us for this podcast. For more information on Overeaters Anonymous, please visit us on the web at www.oa.org or call the World Service Office in the United States at area code 505-891-2664.